Hey class, Chef Derek here, and we're going to do the mother sauces. Mother sauces, really the core of French cooking. So many derivative sauces, depending on which condiments that you add to the mother sauces, produce yet more sauces. So really important to get these 5 down. I'm going to start with the easiest or the simplest of the sauces, maybe not easy, I'm not sure, but certainly the simplest of the sauces, and that's sauce velouté. Velouté means velvet, velvety in French, and that's the way the sauce should turn out, smooth and velvety and white, okay? And it's kind of the basis, it's a white gravy, long story short. This is how we start. I've got a pan here. Usually I do it in a saucepan, but I'm going to do it in this low saute pan so that we can see. I'm going to get my fire on. 3-ounce ladle. I'm going to use my ladle throughout this demonstration to measure. Clarified butter. 3 ounces of clarified butter into the pan. Three ounces. Remember, measurements are always stamped on the handle of the ladle. All-purpose flour. 3 ounces all-purpose flour. I'm going to start to work the flour into the clarified butter. A chef of mine told me that the consistency should be that of wet sand, like the sand that's right on the line of the water at the beach. Now, you see me pull that pan off the fire. I'm controlling my heat. Also important, since I'm using an aluminum pan, I'm not going to use a metal implement. I'm using a rubber spoonula. What I'm doing is creating a roux. A roux is always 50% flour, 50% clarified butter. And I'm cooking the raw flavor of the flour out. If I don't do this, it's going to be a bitter, raw flavor to my sauce. But I don't want to cook it too much. I want to keep it white. And depending on how long you cook the roux, that's the color. And there are 3 different types. There is the light or white roux, the blonde roux, and the darker brown roux. This is going to be a white or light roux. See there? Nice and smooth. I have completely incorporated the flour into the butter. I don't have any lumps. I've really taken my time here and incorporated them. This is an important stage of making sauces. Get this part wrong and you may have problems later. Add to the heat. Going to get a little heat back. Cooking is all about controlling your temperature. Take it off. Just enough, maybe 2 minutes. And what I'm smelling right now, I'm smelling like that nutty flavor. I know that my flour is cooking just a little bit. Back on the heat. And I could also just be turning my heat down. I could do it that way as well. If I don't have the room, let's say I have a fellow student, crowding my space right here. I could just turn my heat down. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. At this point, I'm going to let my roux render or temper, meaning that I'm going to let it settle down. I'm going to let the bubbles settle out of it. I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit. Okay, it's relaxing now. Next step. This is an important step. I'm going to add my stock. When I'm making the velouté, which is a white sauce, I'm going to be using a white stock. In this case, I'm using a white chicken stock. The proportions Very important. I know that I put 3 ounces of flour, 3 ounces of clarified butter. That means I have total 6-ounce roux. I need to use 4 times the amount in liquid. So that means I'm going to use about 24 ounces of liquid. And I can do that all by using my ladle. So I'm going to go ahead and add my stock now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at this point, I'm going to check, just to make sure. I should be working with medium heat. And I start to incorporate the roux into the liquid. What's going to happen? It's going to thicken very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and add. I was at 4, that's 5, and 6, 7, and 8. Okay? So that was 4 times the amount of total roux. I should be good, hopefully. And I'm not using a lot of pressure here. I'm using a light hand. And I'm also using the implement or the spatula to kind of smooth out the roux that is clumping together. But because I won't have too many imperfections like that because I used the right amount of stock. And you can see that my sauce is already starting to come together. It's going to reach that nappe, which means to coat in French, which is the consistency that we're looking for in the sauce. The back of the spoon test. Making sure that my heat is medium, low. And now, I would let this simmer longer, but since we're doing a video, I'm already there. And you see that I'm happy with my consistency. Only thing left to do is to strain. Ramekin, hand strainer, side towel. And we can go ahead and examine the sauce. Absolutely no lumps. Nappe coats the back of the spoon. Meaning that it coats, you should be able to take your hand or your finger down the line. And the 2 sides should not converge. It should run in a single stream like it is. It shouldn't glop or clump. And then we'll go ahead and season this to taste. And since it's a white sauce, we're going to be using white pepper. Salt. Excellent. Again, what you're going to be graded on, and really the hallmarks of the sauce, is this absolute velvety sheen that you get when you use a roux. That's the clarified butter and the flour coming together perfectly. Then the right proportion of stock. And of course, like all classical sauces, we strain. And make sure that it's nappe, that it runs in a single stream, that it coats the back of the spoon, and that there is absolutely no lumps. Okay? And that's sauce velouté. Okay, we'll move on to sauce bechamel. Sauce bechamel is your basic cream sauce. Alfredo starts with a bechamel. Cheddar cheese sauce starts with a bechamel. Technique, very similar. I'm going to heat my pan. 3-ounce ladle, 50-50 roux, meaning 50% clarified butter, 50% all-purpose flour. Okay. And incorporate. Controlling our heat. The bechamel is also a white sauce. The difference is it uses milk instead of stock. Lightly cooking out my white or light roux. I'll go ahead and do the same. I'll add 8 ladles, or 4 times the amount of milk. It's up there and check. I'll reduce my heat. And as the mixture comes to temperature, also an important thing to note is that my milk was warmed. So don't do this with cold milk. Make sure that you've brought your milk to a simmer. And this is going to thicken as it comes to temperature. And the whole time I'm incorporating. Really important point. If you're doing a light sauce, especially the bechamel, in this aluminum pan and you're using a metal implement, you're going to get some aluminum transfer into your sauce, and it's going to make it blue or purple. And that is certainly not what we want. Now, to sauce bechamel. As this is coming to temperature and simmering, I'm going to add the traditional condiments, or aromatics in this case, which is the studded onion. Studded onion consists of cloves that are pinned, that pin bay leaves to the onion itself. This is a very small version because I'm making a very small amount of sauce. Go ahead and put that studded onion in. Again, cloves, bay leaf, and onion. And we would allow this to simmer in the sauce. And you see how that's thickening up nicely there. And I think I put 7 ladles in, so I'll go ahead for my 8th ladle. Beautiful. There it is. Now, again, I would normally, if you were at the restaurant and you were working, you would be making a much larger portion of this. And you would be using a whole onion that had been peeled, and then, you would use the cloves to stick the bay leaves onto the onion, to pin it on the onion. And then the onion would be completely submerged in a larger, say, stock pot full of bechamel sauce. This is a very small amount. Even for this small amount, I would allow this to simmer longer, maybe 30 minutes or so,